Hello, and welcome to this How to Better Manage Portfolio and Supply Chain Collaboration session. My name is Paul Horton. I am a Senior Product Manager for Bentley Systems. Today, we're going to go over several things. We'll start with, what is ProjectWise Managed Portfolio? I'll then give you a quick overview, and then we'll do some deeper dives into work in progress and design, supply chain, and management portfolios of projects. And after that, we'll go into a little bit of a Q&A session. Let's start with what is ProjectWise Managed Portfolio. Well, it's a product that's gone under a few different names over the years. Most recently BCDE, before that BC, and way before that Business Collaborator. And it brings two key capabilities to ProjectWise. Firstly is portfolio management for your infrastructure, your estates, your programs, and beyond. And secondly, it enables you to work with your supply chain. Essentially, it's a common data environment or document management system. And we can put it into context. On the left-hand side, Managed Portfolio is bringing portfolio intelligence and extended data governance. And that sits alongside the other ProjectWise capabilities of engineering work in progress and digital design delivery. Let's carry on now with an overview of what ProjectWise Managed Portfolio brings. And it starts with a really configurable look and feel. So your branding, your imagery, and the layout of the information you want is all highly configurable. And it's all accessed through your single identity powered by Bentley IMS. So the login you use on your other Bentley software, you can use here too. We think most importantly, it's easy to use, which is particularly important if you're inviting your supply chain in. The user is presented with a simple, clean, clear interface that is responsive to their device. So if it's on your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your desktop, it's all fully usable. And it supports standards. One of the key ones for us is ISO 19650, and you can see an example of a configuration of that here. It's also about managing information across the portfolio or an entire program. And searching across that as well. So you're not just restricted to an individual project, you can look across all your projects, all your programs of work, your entire portfolio. And we all know in the real world, a project has starters and leavers coming on, leaving the project all the time. And so because we're powered by roles with our distribution and task system, it means that a project manager can leave, a new one can come on, and they can pick up where the old one left off. And this is all driven by automated workflows that can be built with a visual designer, really allowing you to implement your business processes for your documents. And those workflows, they're driven by dashboards that assign tasks to people. So all I can see here is a set of companies, and they've got tasks, some of them overdue. So the project manager knows who to get in touch with, who to ask to complete their tasks to keep the project on track. It can also transfer information from design and out to the supply chain using sync. All of this is backed up by a fully auditable event system. So you know who did what and when. And this is really important because it brings governance to all of your information. You have trust over what's been uploaded. And the entire product is available over the web. So there's no client-side installation. There's no approvals from your IT department. You just need a web browser and you can go. And that's really useful for your supply chain. They don't need to do anything to get access. So that's a brief overview of ProjectWise Managed Portfolio. let's dig down now into 3 separate use cases, and we'll start with work in progress and design. And in particular, the transmitting of design information to the supply chain. So here I am in ProjectWise in a documents folder, and I've built up my documents. They've reached a status that means they're ready to go to the supply chain. And so we define a safe search that makes sure we only retrieve documents that are in that ready state. And then we hand off to sync. Now in sync, you can define a connector to go from a source to a destination. And here we're going from a ProjectWise server, from a project on ProjectWise, into a destination in Managed Portfolio. You define the mapping between the document types in the source and the destination, your fields, the values within those fields. It's all configurable in a connector and sync. And once you're ready, you can publish the information across. And this is a fairly straightforward process. You choose your connector. You make sure you're authenticated on the source and the destination. You pick the safe search that defines the documents that are ready to transfer. And then you check to make sure that nothing's changed since the connector was created, that the source and the destination are still connected, nothing's been broken, and you can do the transfer. If there are problems detected, like we have here, the system warns you, and it can give you a detailed report on a per document basis of exactly what the problem is. In this example, we're missing some information in the source, and so we're applying some defaults. And we can then proceed with those defaults being applied. When you're publishing, when you're transferring the information, you're going from the server to the server. It's not going via your desktop, via your device. So you could even initiate a transfer on your mobile phone. The data goes from point to point. And that's really important because you're not having to shepherd the documents down onto your desktop and then re-upload them. We're not using your bandwidth, your data connection. It's going from, it's all within our cloud server environment. Ultimately, once the publishing is complete, we have our documents in our Managed Portfolio destination. Here I can see those same 5 documents. They've been transferred across, and we've got the attributes from ProjectWise. They've been transferred into the metadata in Managed Portfolio. But more than that has happened. If I dig in, I can see that these things have been distributed automatically to the architect and to the project manager. And if I look into this, we've actually got an automated workflow system that has a business process that will automatically distribute all documents that are coming from ProjectWise in the right status out to the relevant supply chain. So here we can see that we're distributing for information to the project manager. But we also have a distribution matrix capability that allows us to say, well, depending on the attributes, the metadata on the document, we're going to send it to a different role. So here, work package 1 is going to the architect. Work package 2 is going to the building surveyor. So in this whole process, the documents are reaching the right status in ProjectWise, in their design whip environment. They're being transferred across into Managed Portfolio, and they're being automatically distributed out to the right parties based upon those original attributes specified in ProjectWise. So that's our first use case. Moving on to our second is all around the supply chain. In this case, it's your supply chain delivering information into you and pushing it automatically onto a check, review, and approve process. So here we are in a project information area in a project. We don't often see empty areas like this, but it's nice for the demonstration. And the supplier can upload the documents. They can just drag and drop the documents from their desktop, from their device, into Managed Portfolio. And now that will either create new documents, revise existing ones if we have them, or it will fulfill what we call placeholders or expectations of documents that we've set out for suppliers to deliver on. But yeah, in this case, we're creating 5 new documents, so the upload is completed. And all Dana Aaron here, so Dana Aaron's the architect who's doing this upload as part of the supply chain. All she needs to do now is edit the types and then set some metadata, set some attributes. And you'll notice the document names here, they're conforming to a naming convention. So this is an ISO 19650 type naming convention, and we're using that here. And because we're using the naming convention, we can use auto tagging to automatically pick the right type for us. So you don't need to use a naming convention, but it can help in making it really simple for your supply chain to upload the right information and tag it correctly. But I'm going to confirm those types, save and edit metadata, and then I can come in and actually edit my metadata. Now here I can edit a description, I can choose specify a work package, I'm able to specify a particular suggested status, the suitability of the information I'm providing, I can give a version number, and that's really all I need to do in this configuration. So if I scroll over to the right, you can see again, because we have auto tagging, we're also able to pull out key information from the name of the document. So originator, volume, location, roll number, they're all coming out. I should note, additionally, the attributes, the metadata you're seeing here, that's all part of this particular configuration. Your configuration might be different in the same way that your ProjectWise configuration might be unique to your business. But once I confirm and I save that information, that's now in Managed Portfolio. And that's all Dana needs to do to get this information onto the system, because it's at this point that the automated workflow will take over. Now on the right-hand side, you can see there's 4 empty columns: status, instance, workflow, and distributed. And those are empty because they're under the control of the workflow engine. And what Dana's done here is she has given these documents an S4 suggested status. And that means they're going to enter a particular workflow. And we can see here, once the workflow's done its thing, worked its magic, I can see there are suddenly some tasks on those documents. So they're automatically tasked out, not for Dana to complete, but for someone else to complete. And I can see the status of the documents. They're all pending check, PC pending check. And I've also filled in the instance and workflow fields as well, which will be useful in being able to drill down and understand what is our workflow process. More on that later. So Dana dragged and dropped the documents in, confirmed the types, edited the metadata, and she was done. The automated workflow engine took over, created the tasks on those documents, and so now I'm going to go in as a different user, in this case, me. I'm logging in as Paul Horton, and I can see on my dashboard I have 5 things to do. So I haven't got into a project context yet. I can see right over everything, every project I have access to, I've got 5 things to do. I could drill down into the particular project, and I could see here I've got 5 things to do on my project dashboard here. And I can drill right down into where the documents are, and I can see, okay, I've got tasks to do here as well. It's also worth noting I might have received an email notification. If it's been configured on the setup you're using, I might have received an email notification that pulls me in to tell me, okay, you've got tasks to do. If I look at the workflow, I can see for this one particular document, I can see we've got a 3-stage workflow, and currently we're waiting for check. And once it's checked, it will enter review. And once it's reviewed, it will enter approvals. And if at any point it's rejected in either the check, review, or approve state, we'll actually enter our you need to fix this part of the process. And we'll be forwarding the document back to the original author, telling them, okay, these are the comments, this is what you need to fix in the next version of the document. And again, you're going to hear this quite a lot, but this workflow is what we've designed for this configuration. But we have a visual design that allows this to be tweaked to meet your exact document processing needs. But at the moment, this document we're waiting for a check from the document controller. Unfortunately, I am logged in and I have been given the role of document controller. Now, I could just have joined this project and been a new starter on the project, and there were already these tasks there. But because it's role-based, I automatically have those tasks assigned to me. So I can see I've got my tasks here. I can select all those documents, and from the Actions menu, I can respond to all of those at once. So you're not restricted to doing one at a time. You can do these things in bulk. And here I can make my response. And again, the response I can make is configurable. I can also complete online markup if I want to. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select all these things and I'm going to choose to reject them. And in rejecting them, the workflow engine will receive those responses to the reviews for each of those documents, and it will update the status. So we've gone from PC pending check, XC rejected at check on all those documents. And because they were rejected at check, that's going to send a task back to Dana, who first uploaded them. And I can see here as the instance trace has gone through, when we checked, I'd rejected, it went down the no path, and I can see, okay, we've now forwarded to the author for action, and we're waiting for the action from the author. So here, if I switch back to being logged in as Dana Aaron, I can see that, yes, she now has tasks in to complete. And she can drill down into those tasks and she can see, okay, here I've got my task coming in. It's been sent to me. I've got a deadline of the 5th of July to complete this particular task, and I can make my response here. So once I've downloaded the document, I've read the response that came back, I can make updates to that document, I can re-upload it, and then I can come in and close this task off to say, okay, I've re-uploaded the document. And that re-upload will kick the entire process off again. So it's really straightforward what we're seeing here. All Dana had to do to upload the documents was to, and kick them off in this workflow, was to drag and drop them, edit their type, set their metadata, and that's it, she was done. As the document controller, all I had to do was receive an email or go in and respond to my tasks. And because I rejected them, that then kicked off a process to require Dana to come in and respond back, to take in that feedback and produce new versions. So the users are having to do very little. The supply chain is not having to do very much at all. And it's all being orchestrated by the workflow engine. So the complexity is hidden away from the end users. And finally, let's move on to our third use case, managing portfolios of projects. Now, there are 5 key elements to building your information architecture for your projects. It's the structure, making sure you've configured your portals correctly, getting your membership and your access rights on the mark, making sure you're capturing the right metadata, and then leveraging the search and reporting capabilities of Managed Portfolio. Let's start off at the portfolio level. And this is giving me, a user with the right permissions, with the right access, this is giving me an overview of everything in my portfolio. And we've tweaked the layout of the interface. It's all configured, all configurable in the software. And we tweaked that to be focused on having a nice big map that allows me to browse geographically across my portfolio. And so we're presenting locations on this map. I also have a nice list on the far left-hand side that I can drill down into as well. And I have some key links to allow me to jump off to different pieces of information. But let's go and click on a new city. So we're going to drill down into the new city location. And that's going to take us to a view of all the assets in that particular location. And for the location, I'm pulling out some photos, some imagery of the location. We've got some basic information about that. But the key thing is we've got a list of the assets on that location, and also a geographical representation of them that I can drill down into. When I go into an asset, again, a slightly different layout, focused on what I need to do within an asset. The main addition here is that we're pulling out operations and maintenance information out of the asset. So we've got our as-built information available for reference very easily. But I can also see all the live projects I have running on this particular asset. So there's no risk of conflict or people not being aware of other things that are going on a particular asset. And when I drill down into a project, again, you see a view that's familiar from earlier on in the presentation. But I have my project dashboard. I have access to key documents, to key information from the project, and also media as the project is delivered. So my site photos of key milestones being hit. And I've got access to all my usual folders beneath that. So what we've done is we've built up this information architecture of what my portfolio is. And if I look at the location bar in the top left, I can see that it's nothing fancy really. It's a set of folders. It's a folder structure that we've got here. But these folders have a special folder, so my estate level is special. I've got my New City location, I've got my New City Forest Road asset, and I've got my New City Forest Road South 2023 project. And they're in that nice folder structure. And to that folder structure, I've invited people into it. So you can see the membership icon just to the right of the estate, of the asset and the project. And that means that people have been invited in to get access to the information. So I, as someone who is in charge of this entire portfolio, I'm invited right at the top estate level. But someone who is maybe managing just one of the assets, perhaps a station, they're invited in at the asset level. And then right at the bottom, you have maybe your supply chain, who are invited in just to the project or the set of projects. So what I see when I come into the system depends upon what I've been invited into. And then unless I have membership, unless I have access of the information, it's not that I don't have access, I don't even know it exists. You can also cut across the information in the system in different ways. We have what we call hubs that allows you to, rather than have to navigate via a rigid fixed hierarchy, these hubs can cut across those hierarchies to bring everything out into a single list. So if I navigate into my projects hub from my module picker in the top right, I can see for projects, I've again got a set of widgets that are designed to give me the information or give me the tools that I need to work on projects. And I can see in my links here, it's all about the basics of projects. So making expense claims or timesheets. And these aren't in this system, they're in other systems, but we provide the links in one place so people have a single place where they can get to everything they need to do their jobs. But here in this hub, I'm exposing some of the project metadata. So in the listing towards the bottom, you can see that I've got the types of project. I've created some budget metadata, some gate value metadata. We're linked to the particular program the project is running on. All that information is configurable and can be kept up to date. So it gives you a really good overview, a really good report on all of your projects. And because we've built this information architecture, this structure of information, we can obviously search across it. And so search suggestions is a really great way of quickly getting into one of those assets, those locations, those projects. Or it allows you to search for documents by their metadata or even by their content. And this is across the entire portfolio, not just limited to a single project. We also support multiple breakdown structures on your information. So I've built up my hierarchy in the software, but on the left-hand side in the sidebar, you can see that we've categorized information differently. So for assets, it's all about, is it a large, medium, or small asset? And then within that, is it road, retail, rail, whatever it is? And then for locations, we've categorized those by region. And then projects, that's by the type of project and then the size. And so this is really flexible. It allows you to access the information from multiple paths. So I can browse here through a very different structure from the rigid one that gives access in the rest of the system. And finally, I've got all this information on there. It's about the ability to then search across that information that really makes a difference, to report across that information. Here I'm pulling out all requests for information across a particular program, which could be hundreds of different projects. And these could be just the RFIs that are still open, still not complete. So it's very straightforward to use saved searches, a very similar concept to the one we have in ProjectWise, but to use these saved searches to retrieve key information from across the entire portfolio or a specific program or a specific set of projects. And everything that you can search for, you can also create a report around. So I could turn this into a report that was generated on a regular basis, and I'd be emailed a link to that report every week if I wanted to, and I could then incorporate that information from that report in my wider business reports, maybe powered by Power BI or Tableau. So really, what we've seen here is just one particular way of organizing your information architecture, of designing how you might build that architecture. But there are many different ways. It is essentially just a folder structure, and then you're specifying what the information is you want to capture at each level of that folder structure, and you're choosing how it displays. And so there we go. Just a reminder, we've covered what is ProjectWise Managed Portfolio. I've given you a quick overview of some of the features on the software, but to be honest, I could go on for several hours if you really wanted me to. And then we did a bit of a deeper dive into work in progress and design, and how you can use that to transition from ProjectWise into Managed Portfolio to extend the information out to your supply chain. We've looked at how your supply chain can contribute information in and drive that information through check, review, and approval processes to make sure you've got solid governance around all of your information. And finally, we've looked at managing portfolios of projects. So building your information architecture, making it really easy for people to access the information that you've built up across your portfolio. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share it with others. If you want to see more like it, please consider subscribing to this and Bentley's other channels. Thank you, and see you next time.